Welcome back to Racing News, where Hayley Turner is in the studio talking about her retirement and looking back at some golden moments. There's no more golden moment than this one at Arlington with the Beverly D Grade 1 race, and we can have a look at the we'll talk about it in a moment, but this is I'm a Dreamer winning the Beverly D.
For home, up in front in the final furlong and a half, up led Ramakaka against the rail, Joviality on the outside. Here's I'm a Dreamer, upper line, Marketing Mix on the outside. They're deep in the final furlong. I'm a Dreamer, Joviality fighting for every yard. On the outside is Marketing Mix. I'm a Dreamer, Marketing Mix. I'm a Dreamer reached out to just win the Beverly D.
Hayley, it can't really get much better than that. Winning in America, a big high-profile race with all those American jockeys on a fabulous horse. I'm a Dreamer. I mean, that must be almost top of the pile, isn't it?
Yeah, she was a fabulous horse as well. She's a real tough filly. Yeah, I was actually over there riding Wigmore Hall in the Arlington Million and picked up the spare ride. David Simcock's been a sort of key with my career as well, so. Yeah, it was all a blur. Like when we go over, when we go to ride in, I don't know, like Rome, and people, oh, you're so lucky, going over to see all these places. But we literally go from the airport to the weighing room and then back to the airport. We don't actually get to embrace anything. Yeah. So although it was nice to do it over there, it's not sort of. It's like when I went over to Japan, I flew on...
Which is just now?
Yeah, just got back yesterday. So I'm like a bit jet-lagged. And it was like a blur because I flew over 2 days there riding and then flew back, and there was a day travelling either side of it, and then the jet lag, because the time difference is like 8 hours, and it was...
racing in Japan, well, here is Win Phoenix, you wrote. So we'll talk this through, because we won't give the viewers the Japanese... commentary. Although the word Hayley Turner kept on cropping up during the commentary.
But to be honest, it's a tricky track to ride, Sapporo. It's like Chester, but clockwise.
The other way round.
Yeah, and we had 2 races on the Saturday and 2 races on the Sunday, and this was my last race on the Sunday, and the other horses I rode weren't very good and drawn wide, and it's one of those tracks that you can just put a line through. Like if you were drawn wide at Chester, you just put a line through it, and so I watched a replay of that horse win the previous month, and he kind of went like 5 wide and still won.
So you knew he had a chance.
I was thinking, yeah, I said, if I can just get tucked in a little bit more, I'm saving like 5 lengths. So yeah, so I was quite confident, despite the rides I'd had previously. I was quite confident going out for that one.
And racing is sort of a religion in Japan. I mean, they get enormous crowds, and the top jockeys in Japan are treated like, they can hardly walk down the street without being mobbed.
Yeah, well, we were so well looked after, and I did actually feel like an A-list celebrity over there. It was amazing. They don't like over here. We just walk out to the paddock with the general public, but there they keep you away because they're that intense. Like if you walked out, they just swamp you. So, but it was nice at the end of the meeting when they had the presentations for the jockeys. I think over here everyone just jumps in the car to get away before the traffic, whereas everyone stayed, like no one left, and there was a massive crowd to watch the presentations.
Hunters, selfie sticks,
yes,
all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
oh, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it was such a good experience.
Probably weren't too many selfie sticks at Wolverhampton on very nearly New Year's Eve back in 2008, but this is a big moment for you. This was your 100th winner.
Yeah.
You rode a horse called Mullet Over Morris, and you just got to that century in a nick of time because it was only one day to spare.
Yeah, and do you know what? I had 6 rides that day, and if at the beginning of the day someone said you have to give one ride up, I would have given that one up because it was the outsider of all of them. But
that tells a story, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was just amazing, and just so close to New Year's Eve. So no, it was. I do kind of like look back at that now, and when you kind of at the time you think, oh, you'll do it next year and do it again and you'll do it again, but it's tough, so it's like nice to look back and see that.
It puts something like Tony McCoy's career in perspective, how he did it year after year after year and still got that enthusiasm.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. But just looking at the stats, that year you had nearly 1,000 rides, and you had 100 winners. It started in 2000 with only, you've got to get the snowball rolling, haven't you? I mean, the first year you had 16 rides. Your second year, only 94 rides. You suddenly had to get trainers to have a bit of faith in you.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I wasn't very good to start with. I think what helped me was Michael Bell, when I was apprenticed to him, sent me over to America. And I think that was the key, because when you're riding out in England from the yard, you're sitting on the horse for over an hour, and you canter up Warren Hill, which is 4 furlongs, so a horse can't really pull you that hard for very long. Whereas when you go to America, you're riding out in the space of 2 hours, 8 horses, and you're just jumping on and off them. And I remember the first week I was over there, I was on my 8th lot, and I was just walking back.
That's just for general routine over there,
yeah,
is it?
every day. And the horse twitched its ear, and I just fell off the side of it. I was that exhausted. So I think that really sort of got me fit for when I came back. I was like a completely different jockey.
So you just need that. You need that experience. You've got to get that experience.
Yeah.
And a lot of I mean, there are lots of lady jockeys, female jockeys coming up through the ranks, but unless you get that experience, you probably just don't get to improve.
Yeah, I think I think Sammy Jo Bell is quite fit as well, because she rides out for Richard Fahey, who I know does quick lots like that.
Well, to be with a stable that's got so many horses
yeah,
as well,
I
and
think
so many
she'd literally
opportunities.
jump on 6 or 7 horses before she goes racing, and so she's physically fit, which I think is important. I don't like to say about the male-female thing, but we're not physically as strong as men. So I think that getting that fit is a key for us.
But do you need to be in a tight finish? Does strength often win races?
I think, yeah. I think when you basically you can train and get as fit as you like, but when
Here's where Martin Lane came off second best to you. You were riding. Chosen this one because Desert Strike, because Connor Dorr, who trains Desert Strike, this must be one of your favourite all-weather horses. And
yeah,
Connor Dorr, you've had plenty of winners for Connor.
Connor's been fantastic. He's a great trainer to ride for, because he just gives you so much confidence, in not by saying anything, but he literally will lead you out onto the track and he won't tell you what to do. Like, you know the horse. He doesn't give you any instructions. So I always feel like I ride really well for Connor, because he just leaves me to it.
Which is great, isn't it? I mean, to do that. But
Yeah.
you've got to get to that stage where you can be left to do
Yeah,
it. Well, that
yeah.
almost is saying that, you've made it. You can make your own decisions.
Yeah. It's Desert Strike's he's a legend. He really is.
And every female jockey I interview that comes into the game, they all mention you as an inspiration, which must be a very, very flattering.
Yeah,
they do.
It is. Yeah, if only they really knew.
No, but it is great. And do you think there are more? Do you think it's now stronger? It's a stronger world for women to come into?
I think that, doing what I've done gives them, they're not banging their head against a brick wall. It can be done. I'm the proof. It's, I've done it. So there's, when they're working really hard, and so it just makes them, I think it gives them the confidence that what they're working so hard for is achievable.
Our bulletin is going to come to an end. It's gone in a flash. But just before you go, we must just mention Victoria Pendleton. Of course, she won 2 gold medals, Olympic gold medals, on a bike, but on a horse. Quite a big moment for her. Her first ride under rules. And my goodness me, she came pretty close to winning. Let's just have a look at the race now. She's in the red colours, as you can see, and the yellow cap.
The track has taken the measure of Chocolate Diamond. Over to the far side is Iconic, with boxing on Bold Henry, and the leaders coming back, and Bold Henry in the sheepskin noseband has now taken up a narrow lead in the centre. Iconic over to the inside, still there Royal Etiquette to the outer, further back to Jordora in the blue cap. They've got a furlong left to travel here, and Royal Etiquette is still just about there, with Jordora the white face up in between runners. Bold Henry over to the far side. Bold Henry now takes a fractional lead. Intensified is staying on back in behind them. Here's Jordora in the centre, Bold Henry the far side, Jordora coming through the centre. Jordora just about steals the prize.
It wasn't quite...
It was agonisingly close. Just watching it again to think, she's only got very, very limited experience in the saddle. I thought she looked pretty good. We know that Victoria is a very determined athlete, because you've got to be to be an Olympic champion. How do you think she did?
It's a difficult track as well to ride, Ripon. It's very undulating up the straight, and she's just unreal what she's achieved. so far, you know, she's had 2 rides. She's, you know, what she's taking on as well, the fox hunters, it's a big thing. But I've met her a couple of times recently, and she's got a very, you know, as you would expect, a really good attitude, and she's very self-critical, and she's always listening, and you can tell she just wants to improve and she wants to get better. So she'd have got off that, and rather than be, I finished second, how good was that?
No
she'd
one
have been
likes
like,
finishing second, do they?
she'd have been like, I should have won that. What could I have done different? How can I make it better next time? That's what she'll be doing.
But to win, I mean, that's how you've got to think, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, exactly. I think when you think you've arrived, then it's sort of, you're never going to get any better.
When you leave, we've got running out of time, but just quite sort of the emotions to being a jockey. If you've had a bad day, you've been beaten in a couple of short heads, do you sort of take it home with you and sort of...
Yeah, I think it's hard not to. You know, I think that it's so, like being a jockey, it's so up and down. You can have the best day ever and you ride a big win, and the next day you'll get beat on a favourite.
It's a life like nothing else, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so up and down constantly. You're only as good as your last winner, and it is a tough job. It is.
Will you keep it sort of peak fitness? Because you must be. You've got to be so super fit to be a jockey.
Do you know what? You do, but obviously because we ride every day, that's our fitness sort of as it is. But I'll get time to go to the gym now, and you know, I think someone said that Johnny Murtagh, who's in Ireland now, he's like fitter than he's ever been because he's not sat in the car every day. So it'd be quite interesting.
So
It'll be a different fitness, yeah.
Or will you end up like Weaver? Yeah. That's why you're in a wide chair, you see.
Do you know what, Richard Hughes? I was walking in from a race with him and the other day at Newmarket, and I said, do you think when you give up riding you'll look younger? And he was like, well, you don't see wrinkles on a balloon, do you? Like, so basically, yeah. I don't know, it'll be interesting. It's the unknown to me, but I am sort of a fidget, so I can't see me sort of...
And for the time being, you're still a jockey?
Yes.
When are you going to be riding again?
I'm riding at Chelmsford on Thursday, Newcastle Friday, Kempton Saturday, so keep the ball rolling. I'm just going to enjoy it.
Well, it's great. We're going to be seeing plenty of you, and it's great that you've come here to explain exactly what you're doing, and very good luck to you.
Thanks for having me.
Good, very good. And she'll be back. Hayley Turner has been my guest on Racing News today, and there'll be another bulletin of racing news coming up at midday. Thanks for joining us, and of course there's a world of racing coming up soon as well. See you later.